I've had the good opportunity of working with a lot of really brilliant people from the public sector, the private sector, the government as well. And I'm always kind of inquisitive about what people think is the most important problem that's facing our country right now. If they could solve one problem, what would it be and why? You keep on talking, and usually people come up to you and talk to you about how if you fix the education system, everything just kind of, falls into place, and that's brilliant. But I think there are three issues within the current status quo that need to be addressed. And these are very important for me because these issues are acting as something of a roadblock to the potential of people like yourselves and other people who want to do something with their life, who want to change the world in some way or another, and they're keeping them from realizing that potential. So one very basic problem, of course, is there's a lot of unemployment. So our colleges and universities are pumping out thousands of graduates every single year, but the job market absolutely has no space to accommodate those people. The second issue, and even more dangerous, is that hundreds of people are qualifying and coming back to the country with advanced degrees in things like industrial design, robotics, nanotechnology from globally ranked universities. But again, they're coming back to a job market which either has no space or does not have the capacity to make use of their potential to the fullest. And then, they have to kind of work at something. I don't want to offend anyone. And, not be able to kind of harness their full potential and their interest. And then the third thing, of course, is just turn on the TV, talk to anyone from anywhere across the country, and they will give you a million different problems about what's wrong with where they live, how they live, the sector that they operate in, et cetera, you name it. Education, healthcare, security, pretty much everything apparently is going down. So what do you do and how do you do it? So if you look at the situation overall, and if you take into account all three of these factors, it instantly becomes clear that the solution is not going to be one single pill or one single product that you use and then everything goes away. It needs to be something of an approach or something of a framework or a system which allows you to think in a certain way and be able to address all of these problems and more one by one. So that's the system that I want to talk to you about today. And that system solves the problem of unemployment because it allows you to create your own space within the job market, so you no longer have to rely on other people to kind of come up to you, interview you, and give you a paycheck. It allows you to make full use of your potential or your interest by allowing you, or rather forcing you, to innovate and design the products that you want to build, design the organization that you want to work for, write your own job description and do what you want to do. And also, in doing all of that, also forces you to think about how to solve problems. How to solve problems that are afflicting the society, the community, people other than their own selves and their own businesses. And I'm talking about social enterprise. So essentially, very simply, social enterprise is a business. It's a social business, which means that one, it needs to be financially viable. So it needs to have a very feasible financial model. It needs to generate its own resources and not be dependent on someone else for donations and grants and not be at the behest of anyone else for that kind of support. And the second thing is, it needs to have social impact or the betterment of the society or the community that they live in or the culture that they come from in some way or another. Now, while it's different from the regular development stuff that's going on for our societies and for our country is, something that I've already mentioned, that the resources and where they come from is not really a concern anymore because social businesses make their own resources and generate their own resources and make the world go round. So how do I get from starting off as a technologist and going all the way to here, becoming a social entrepreneur? I used to have a job like one of these, but not exactly. I wasn't a movie star, or maybe I was, but who knows. In any case, gray carpets, fluorescent lights, a piece of fabric around my neck to signify something, and unlimited Wi-Fi, all the spreadsheets and PowerPoint presentations you could eat. And just exactly, right? They're beautiful lives. It's so exciting This keeps you invigorated. So you do that, and you do that for 8, 10, 12 hours every single day, and you automatically start to think that what I'm doing, it's so important. I mean, if that deadline is not met, if that Excel spreadsheet doesn't go out on time, babies will cry. Wars will break out, and that's, okay. All right, thank you. So in any case, I mean, you tend to get self-involved, and I suppose I'm kind of, afflicted by that problem even now, but who knows. In any case, so we kept doing that, and usually it's a very comfortable place to be in. You're making good money, you can see 5, 10 years ahead of you, everything is good, and I can completely understand, and I'm sure you can too, in how people can live their entire lives for decades behind that desk, because it's a good life, and you don't really have to think about it. In fact, that kind of life is usually designed in a way that you don't really get the opportunity to step back. You have to go out into the world and expose yourself to the elements and really experience different problems in order to find something out. But usually you don't get the opportunity to lift up your head, look around, look at the bigger picture, realize that you're a small cog in a very large machine, and figure out, is that something that you really want to do? And it might be. It might be something that's right up your alley. It might be something that you love doing, but you never really get the option of thinking about that question. Well, that opportunity, or that trigger rather, came for me when I was, again, involved in a large, very huge, multi-million-dollar program, and all hands on deck, and working 16, 18 hours at work every day, working weekends as well. And during that time, someone very close to me from my family fell ill. And a few days later, I got the call that she'd passed away. Now, I mean, loss is a part of life. These things happen. But I remember it was a Saturday, and that really kind of got me thinking, what was I doing at work on a Saturday? Why wasn't I at home with my family, with the people I love? Because that was my time. But again, some really important presentation had to happen, really important documents had to go out, everyone had to be there. And that kind of got me thinking, where was I? What was I doing? And the most important question, was it worth it? And the answer for me instantly was no. And I need to be looking for something that I attach more meaning to, something that would be able to help someone other than just my own self. Now, the problem is that if you're running a rat race, even if you win, you're still just a rat. And there's really no escaping that reality. We spend 90,000 hours over our entire lifetime doing the work that we do, our day jobs, right? So think about if we could siphon off that time, all of it, or a fraction of it, into doing something that would allow you to live comfortably, but also allow you to help people other than your own self. Doing something like social enterprise or like a social business that would allow you to help other people as well. And that really is the question that I started to think about, and it scared me because it's terrifying being an entrepreneur. It's even more terrifying being a social entrepreneur, because when you're out in the free market, you're competing with companies which would stop at nothing to cut down their costs. We've all heard about stories of multi-million-dollar brands that have their products made in sweatshops in China and Bangladesh and all of those countries. Even I don't want to name names again, but in any case, they do a lot. But as a social business, you really shouldn't. You should operate as a business with a conscience. So then I started to look towards some of the wisest people in our society for inspiration, who have the whole world kind of, pitted against them, and yet not only are they able to survive, but they're able to prosper. And of course, I'm talking about cartels and mafias, a big inspiration, but not in terms of, necessarily the service that they're providing to society. Maybe that's something that's not really your thing, but the methodology, How do they get to survive? How do they get to prosper and for centuries on end, right? So, and that got me thinking that they're able to do that because they can collaborate. And let me contextualize that for you. These people who kill, loot, and plunder for a living have the good sense of realizing that there's no way that we're going to survive if we don't work together, right? Let that sink in. And think about, if you're actually trying to change the world, if you're actually trying to make the world a better place, why is it that you can't set aside your differences and work with someone else? Leverage each other's resources, networks, and expertise in order to make things happen. And there are already some really interesting things that are happening on this front. So this year, the Social Innovation Lab got together with Let Us Be Kids to help the Gulmit Carpet Weaving Center, which is a fascinating story. It's nestled somewhere up in Upper Hunza, one of the remotest villages that you'll ever go to, if you ever go there, because you actually have to take a boat. There's no road linked directly to that place. And there are these women who are running this enterprise there for the last 17 years. And they're producing hand-woven carpets. And they've put their kids through college with the money that they generate here. And all of us kind of got together and figured out, how can we help them design better products? How do we help them package their products in a better way? How do we optimize their supply chain so they wouldn't have to incur as much of a cost in producing the goods that they produce? Rabt got together with the History Project this year and the Sufi Foundation to deliver content that's been designed by faculty from places like Harvard, curriculum that focuses on the message of empathy and tolerance, something that we really, really need right now in our society. And think about it, like Ivy League level education going all the way down to some small village in interior Punjab. And there are 40 kids that they work with. And if you think about it, it's not such a big number, because especially if you're working in the development sector, usually people are talking about thousands of this and thousands of that and millions of this and something else. But 40 kids, if you think about it, if they truly internalize this message of peace and empathy and tolerance, these are 40 different families and their children as well. These are 40 different professionals working in different sectors all over Pakistan and potentially all over the world, and that you really have a movement going on there. But the question that really I'm going to leave you with is that you need to ask yourself is, who do you want to be? Do you want to be one of those professionals or one of those individuals or businesses, and that's perfectly fine, by the way, who's in the business of making money so they can make more money and then make a little more money, buy a property and make more money? Or do you want to be a business or an individual who figures out a way to contribute to the market and to contribute to the society as well? A business or an individual that actually has a conscience and a heart. And when you figured out the answer to that question, maybe we can get together and figure out a bold new way to change the world. Thank you.